going to make the decision to drink, don't drive. The effect it has on your future and those loved ones around you, it's just not worth it. Just call a cab, have a sober friend pick you up or drive. Just don't ruin your future over a few drinks.
As part of a national survey conducted in 2005, almost 30% of college students in the U.S. aged 18 to 24 reported drinking and driving. Teens get drunk twice as fast as adults, so that one drink could mean more for the young adult than many people would think. When at or over the age of 21, alcohol is not off limits, but drinking and driving is still a problem no matter what the age of a person. In places where there will be drinking, many times a designated driver is appointed. However, research shows that designated drivers many times consume alcohol as well, making the plan to have a sober driver behind the wheel fall through. Be aware of your responsibility as a designated driver, and as well as your individual duty to remain sober. Keep the bottle and the wheel separate and arrive alive.
Every day in America, another 28 people die as a result of drunk driving. That equates to a death every 52 minutes. Also, every 2 minutes, someone is injured by a drunk driver. Each day, there are 300,000 instances of drunk driving, but less than 1% of the people that commit these acts are arrested. When you take this into account, you find out that your average drunk driver is driven 80 times before his first arrest.
Driving under the influence is the most common problem related to college students. A way we can limit drunk driving is by setting up checkpoints. Checkpoints near college will help catch drunk drivers. And remember, they will see you before you see them.
More teenagers are involved in car crashes every year, and more are killed than any other age group. Some 6,000 teens die annually, more than 15 a day. Teens are the least likely age group to use seatbelts, and also most likely age group to drink and drive.
It's a real problem in our community, and I've seen a lot of bad accidents over the years involving single people, family members, and unfortunately children. It's never pretty when you go to a DWI crash, and the old saying where the drunk never gets hurt, unfortunately that seems to be true. This year, 2015, started off for me and my family. We were in Kaiser, West Virginia, coming home from a dinner, and once we got into Maryland on Route 220 southbound, I observed a SUV traveling really fast at a high rate of speed in my direction. I hit the car in front of it, which was traveling the same direction it was, and jumped across the highway and hit my family and I head on. I have a wife and 2 children, ages 10 and 11. We were sent down over a bank and went airborne. We all were injured. To this day, it's now April, I'm still having issues and having therapy on my left shoulder. I broke some ribs and some other injuries. My daughter sustained a fractured arm, my son a fractured leg, and my wife had some back and leg injuries. Come to find out that night that the subject that hit us was extremely intoxicated, and actually on the crash scene was not hurt, was not injured, and was trying to take beer and throw it out of his vehicle down over the bank to hide it from law enforcement who was not on the scene at that time. You know, nothing worse than seeing your family carted away in an ambulance, and then yourself also. Totaled my car, so I went from being the enforcer of drunk drivers laws and arresting people to being the actual victim of a drunk driver. And the sad thing is to see a young man or a young woman with a lot of potential. You know, they're going to college, they're trying to make a better life for themselves, and they have a future, and they basically, unfortunately, flush it down the toilet because they get this DWI charge, and even to worse cases if they were involved in an accident. And for example, a young man comes to mind locally here. He was going to college. He was a veteran. Just a superstar kid, and made a bad decision to drink and drive, and was in a bad accident and ended up being arrested. And I know he has since, as he's older, has sought employment in law enforcement. And unfortunately, he hasn't been able to gain any employment in law enforcement because of this one bad decision he made. And that's not just a single incident. I've seen it throughout the years where I'll see a nice young man or woman that really would look good or do a good job, but unfortunately they've made the bad decision to have a prior drunk driving arrest, and it's just really hindered them in the employment field, not just in law enforcement. There's other jobs out there that you're required to drive a lot. A truck driver, for instance, you can't get a CDLs with a prior DWI conviction, so it affects a gamut of jobs, which then would affect this college-age student has this education and has spent this money, and they're marketable, but they can't find a good job because of one bad decision they made of drinking and driving. Well, if you're going to make the decision to drink, please don't get behind the wheel of a car. It doesn't just affect you with your future, but also affects a lot of other people, and you don't want to live with that. Each one of you here has a bright future, and please don't ruin it by getting behind the wheel of a car while you've been drinking.